Hello, there is one musical concept that appears in virtually every thorough explanation about sonata form, and that is the concept of theme. There are also some misconceptions about it. So, what is a theme and what is it not? Welcome to Sonata Form Questions and Answers. In some languages, this concept is especially confusing. Take Spanish, for example. Tema may refer to a type of musical idea, but also to an entire song, to the central theme or main topic of its lyrics, and also to any of the topics the lyrics are about, among other beauties. Talking about English and referring to music only, the word theme sometimes gets confused with motif, and motif with cell and others, so for the time being, let's clarify what a motif is. According to Ludwig Zenkel, a motif is a short, expressive and relatively complete piece of music, the main component of which is usually a melody, for example a melodic line and rhythm. In rare cases, the motif is formed by just a rhythmic structure. Let me explain this with building blocks first. This is a building block. It is simple, but not too simple. It is not just a shapeless piece of plastic, but one that is designed according to certain dimensions. It is not a bi-dimensional contour on paper or the color we see. It has an identity built up from all the features I've mentioned and more. It can be repeated, modified in color or in length, and we can combine it with itself or other blocks to build larger objects or structures with them. There are similar units in music too. They are the smallest pieces or bricks that we can use through repetition and or combination with other pieces to build larger musical entities. A motif can build up the accompaniment in a piece of music. It can be part of sequences or transitional material, and whether in itself or somehow transformed, it can be one of the building blocks of a theme. You may have noticed the discrepancy between Zenkel's definition and these examples. There is no melody in these examples. There are rhythmic cells. However, the moment we add a melodic element to them, they may become motifs. Zenkel defines a musical theme as a distinctive melody lasting several bars, with clear boundaries, serious in content and convincing. It shares elements with the motif, but it is more extensive and significant. William Caplin defines the theme in two different ways. I'll keep things simple for the moment and stay with his first definition. A theme usually stands for a highly recognizable melody or tune, the part of a piece that we tend to whistle or hum when we want to bring the music to mind. Unlike Zenkel, Caplin does not mention complexity, depth or the relationship with the motif. Ottomar Kvěch, on the other hand, says that a theme is a higher and more complex unit than a motif, which is what builds up the theme. When we look at all the definitions combined, we can understand their differences better. A motif is short, part of a bar only or one or two bars, while a theme lasts several bars. A motif gives a hint of the direction towards which the music is moving, while the theme presents a complete idea. Understand serious and profound in the broad sense of I really mean it, not that smiles or joy are forbidden. So come on Barbie, let's go party could be part of a really meant musical theme. Both the motif and the theme contain rhythm and melody, but more on that later. A motif is a building block like words or sudden thoughts are, while a theme is a complete phrase or sentence or an idea fully presented. In just a few words, a motif is simple, while a theme is complex. Let's see this with one example. This is a motif. I will call it motif J as in Joseph. It is simple, it is short, it combines melody, different pitches or tones and rhythm, and it could be a word like marquetry. No sentence yet. It can go anywhere. Let's keep the rhythm and modify its melody. Now we've got a related motif, yielding again one word only. A different one may be basketry. Like the one before, this example is built up from melody and rhythm, but it remains simple and short. Let's have a look at a different motif. And let me call it age as in Haydn. Once again, we have a word or a brief statement, but not a full sentence. A sweet tangerine maybe. The rhythm and melody are different than in motif J, so it has some identity, but it is again short and simple. Now let's try changing the melody again by playing it a bit lower. This is called a sequence. A sweet tangerine, a small tangerine. We can also modify its rhythm just slightly by repeating the last note, for example. Little tangerine box, for example. We have had a quick look at two motifs, now let's combine them and build a theme. This is a different thing altogether, isn't it? Like we did with the building blocks, we have something not only longer, but also more meaningful and sounding complete like a full sentence. Bear in mind, though, that this is a musical sentence, not a linguistic one. So no, I will not share with you today a song about baskets and tangerines, because I have something better for you. This is the main theme in Joseph Haydn's Symphony No. 99 in E-flat major, which sounds as follows. I hope that example was useful to understand the difference between a motif and a theme, and how a theme is more complex than a motif. When it comes to a theme in sonata form, there are some subtleties that we will discuss in a moment. When it comes to sonata form, the definition of theme narrows further. The second definition that Caplin mentions is a complete formal unit which includes its particular melodic motivic content, its accompanimental texture, and its supporting harmonic progressions. He goes on to specify that themes that begin a movement typically fill 8 measures of music, but many themes are much longer. I don't know about you, but the first time I read that definition, it brought upon me an urge to study rocket science instead of music. Luckily, we have a simpler definition that we can use specifically for sonata form. In their book Elements of Sonata Theory, James Hepokoski and Warren Darcy defined the theme in a sonata form as the leading musical idea of an expositional zone. Maybe not less cryptical at first, they refer to the main tune we hear at the very beginning of the music, or after a significant pause, or at least a pause relatively easy to spot. Missing anything yet? When I showed you this table, I mentioned both the motif and the theme are made up of melody and rhythm, but it's time to explain that doubt. In chapter 20 of his book Fundamentals of Musical Composition, Arnold Schoenberg deals with sonata form, and referring to the first themes we hear, he mentions the ideas of the principal group are nearly always more thematic than melodic. That sounds as if apples were more fruits than solid, or cats more living beings than animals. But panic not, there are some lessons we can learn from this. The first one is that when the experts try their best to be obscure, for us the simple mortals, there is no shame in feeling confused. Another lesson we can learn is what Schoenberg meant with his statement. He refers to certain characteristics of the melodies that are more likely to be part of the main theme. That will be the topic of a future video, so stay tuned. And now we are getting close to the end of this video, but before I sum up and give you some voluntary homework, if you like what you have seen so far, please consider clicking the like button and subscribing to my channel for more content on sonata form. If there is anything specific you would like to know about this fascinating topic, send me your questions or post them in the comment section below so I can make content that is relevant to you. And now it's time to wrap up the question, what is a theme? A theme is a complex musical idea that needs some time to be expressed, with certain characteristics that make it memorable or more or less unique, both in the context of a composition and among other compositions. The theme may include a repeated motif, can be an ongoing melody, but can also be a combination of motifs or melodies. It is nevertheless what helps us best identify a movement or one of its sections, and in sonata form it is the opening statement of a piece of music or its more relevant sections. And now it's time for some voluntary homework. Listen to the first movement, Allegro molto, from Joseph Haydn's Symphony No. 27 in G major. There are many versions available online. I will include my personal suggestion in the description below. Although each section in the movement sounds twice, feel free to listen to it a couple of times if necessary. Whether you can tell what is coming next or you remember it, sing along or fidget, drum, dance, make the music yours. Pick one part that calls your attention and try to pin out why. If you feel confident enough, once you get familiar with the music, try to count how many themes you can identify. But remember, this can be tricky even for experienced listeners. That's all for today. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and keep asking questions about Sonata form. Thank you for watching.